In this session, we are going to see the experiment number 10, that is UDP socket programming in 18 CSL 57 Computer Networks Laboratory. As I said, already I have published a video regarding socket programming. Kindly watch the video for the introduction of socket programming. Yes, here we are going to use this Java to execute the UDP socket programming. Now let me explain how the client and the server communicates and what are the steps involved in it. Yes, the first step is the server creates a socket whose port number is equal to X, and the server socket is created using the function socket of AF underscore inet comma socket underscore datagram. Since UDP protocol is involved, we have to use datagram. Next, once the socket is created, the client creates its own socket, that is using the function called client socket is equal to socket of address family underscore internet socket underscore datagram. Since UDP, it also creates the socket for the datagram communication. Next, it creates the datagram with server IP and port is equal to X and sends the datagram via client socket. Yes, the client creates the datagram and it sends through the port number X. So once the server gets the data, it reads the datagram from the server socket and it gives the reply to the server socket specifying the client address and the port number, and using the socket client socket, again it reads the datagram. The client will be reading the datagram and it closes the socket, its own socket. Here, like TCP, no need to establish the connection, no need of welcoming socket, only one socket is created with which the client and the server will be communicating with each other. Yes, see here UDP client, this is the program for the UDP client side processing. As I said, import function will get all the functions required to execute the program, and server name is equal to which server it has to communicate, that is mentioned with the help of the server's name, that is which is equal to host name, and server port is equal to 12,000, which is port address of the server, and client socket is equal to socket of socket.af underscore inet. As I said, AF indicates address family, internet address family. Then with this line, the client creates its socket, and see sock underscore datagram is for only UDP, and once the client socket is created, it has to send the request. So what is the request? It is nothing but the message. Message is a variable in which it is going to give the input. What is the input? That is nothing but lowercase letters. So the few lowercase letters can be saved in the variable called message, and it can be sent to the server using the client socket. Then client socket dot send to of message comma server name comma server port. So these three things will be sent using the function called send to through the client socket to the server. Then once it is sent, the server will get this message and it will convert it into uppercase, and that uppercase letters will be stored in the another variable called modified message. Then it will send it to the client. So using the function called client socket dot receive from, the client will get the data, that is modified message from the server. And once it gets the data, that is modified message from the server, it prints the modified message. Once the function gets over, it closes its socket using the function called client socket dot close. Yes, whatever I said, it is done here. So reads the character, print out received string. Next comes TCP server programming. So here it again the server should create the socket. So this is TCP. Yes, this is UDP server program. So first line imports the functions required to execute the socket programming, and server port is equal to 12,000. It is set by the server, that is the port address, and server socket is equal to socket of AF underscore INET comma socket underscore datagram. Since it is a UDP protocol, server creates the socket called server socket with the help of the function called socket of the parameters are address family underscore internet and socket underscore datagram. The next line, that is server socket dot bind function, it binds the port address with the server port. That is, it's like naming the door, okay, or giving the address to that particular house. Next comes print the server is ready to receive. Yes, if the server is ready to receive the request from the client, then it will give the print this statement, that is server is ready to receive. While one message comma client address is equal to server socket dot receive from 2048. Yes, so what is the meaning of this? Message is nothing but the variable sent by the client. Okay, this is the request which contains the message. The message contains nothing but the lowercase letters. From the client address it gets the message, and what it does, through the server socket it receives data from the buffer whose size is 2048. Then modified message is equal to message dot upper. So it converts the message into the uppercase and it puts the output in the variable called modified message. Then server socket dot send to. So it has to send the output to the client. So it uses its server socket, and the function called send to is used, and this parameters are the output, that is modified message, that is a variable which contains uppercase letters. To whom it has to send, it should send to that particular client whose address should be mentioned here as the parameter. Once it is done, it will close the socket. So with this, the UDP client and the server programming gets over. Please execute and check whether you are getting the output or not. If any problem is there, you can call me. Thank you.